I did 120 shows on domestic violence and abuse of women on the Oprah show. And at the time, the stats were 1 out of 4 women will be abused in their lifetime, or stalked, or sexually violated. And now the stats are 1 out of 2.
Bumped in with the patriarchy as a black man. Feels like I'm being blamed for a crime.
Hi, black men make more than black women over the life course, and the wage gap between those two groups grows over time.
I just never care about men suffering in life because it's like, how the f are you losing at a game that's too rigged? You guys have actively kept women out of so many different positions, so many aspects of life, actively erased us from history, and you're still suffering.
The first paragraph of Ebony's The Black Wellness Edit, Red Pill Ideology's Impact on Black Men's Mental Health reads, as society grapples with shifts in cultural norms and sovereignty, the rise of traditional gender ideals is more pronounced than ever. The term manosphere is more than the acclaimed Netflix series. It is an online community where men teach others patriarchal beliefs that instill violence, misogyny, and the devaluation of women. Speaking of devaluation.
Do you know why the wage gap grows as those two groups get older? It's because of parenting. Women are expected from their spouses, male spouses, to take on more of the parenting labor. Unmonitored, unpaid labor. Black men gleefully accept that piece of the patriarchy. So a lot of times patriarchy shows up in the home.
At the time, the stats were 1 out of 4 women will be abused in their lifetime, or stalked, or sexually violated. And now the stats are 1 out of 2. That means all of us know somebody.
Press 2 for me, press 2. Press 2.
Press 1 for me.
It's too much motherfucker.
Overload.
I'll get out. It's not gonna go.
At the time, the stats were 1 out of 4 women will be abused in their lifetime, or stalked, or sexually violated. And now the stats are 1 out of 2.
At least that bitch, hey, at least that bitch tell you though. Oh, you stuck. You stuck. Nah, you stuck.
No.
At the time, the stats were 1 out of 4 women will be abused in their lifetime, or stalked, or sexually violated. And now the stats are 1 out of 2.
Red pill commentary has heightened in the black community, especially towards public figures and users. After exposing her breakup after a cheating scandal, rapper Meg Thee Stallion was met with victim blaming and a dehumanizing meme of her and her exes that surfaced on threads and TikTok, showing how black women's pain is publicly mocked or objectified. However, these views were rooted in the community before any podcast, online forums, or simple comments to demean women. I'll start out by saying, of course, it's not my intent to quote-unquote fat shame anyone, because we all deal with our bodily issues of how we want our body to look versus the body that we actually have. And, you know, some people actually deal with difficulties, and that's a conversation for a different day. But when Oprah Winfrey said that when she first began doing her broadcast in the mid-'80s to the '90s, that there was 1 out of 4 young ladies that were dealing with SA and whatnot in their lifetimes, and you fast forward 40 years later, and it's 1 out of 2, as she's saying, well, if you look at the size of the average woman in the 1990s, she was 20 pounds lighter than she is today. And so is Oprah really saying that as women have gotten larger, bigger, heavier, in a world that is more understanding of male gender roles and female gender roles being kind of fudged out, and more understanding of how men can be quote unquote misogynist, and we need to understand the evolving roles of women in society, that those rates are going up? It's very difficult to understand that, but if you really think about it, it seems to me that it is a plea to say, essentially, someone needs to be the bad guy here because we need someone to save us. And take a wild guess on who the bad guy ends up being. As Grits and Eggs host Deontay Kyle's following grew, opposers considered his content pandering to women, which contradicts the colloquial bro code mentality that he refers to as homoeroticism. Kyle believes critics use excuses to shame men for taking accountability. The activist calls for extending the same protective nature one has for their loved ones to the entire community of women, thereby exposing bad behavior.
You not wanting to be lumped in with the patriarchy reeks of pain. It sounds like even a faint aroma of accountability for what happens to Black women hurts you so much. It's like you're realizing that which white men do to the world, Black men also do in their homes.
There are literal laws in place, religions in place, all these things that you guys have come up with, and you're still suffering. You're still not thriving in a system that is completely built for you to thrive. Come on. Even if you're not a cis white male, it is still built for you if you are a man. It is still literally built for you to thrive.
And it wears you down, and the lack of support from senior management to the point where you go, I can't do this anymore. And the admin that you have to do on the top. It's a quite literally an impossible job.
So no matter how pure your motives or how much you want to help, like everything structurally is designed to stop you from achieving that goal.
It's designed to stop you from achieving that goal. And then the meetings, some of them you've got to attend some meetings, but some of them are completely pointless. And then occasionally there'd be the woke things, the woke, what's it called? The woke training sessions. For instance, I went to a training session which was called How to Teach Black Boys.
One of the reasons why name calling is such an effective tool, especially in the social media space, is because you could take people who have never really invested time or effort in hearing a group of people's grievances and label the people that are bringing grievances to the table as misogynists, people that will enact violence when they get the opportunity. You can say that they are essaying women on an elevating rate. Deontay Kyle continues, y'all pander to men, but y'all are also homophobic, he said. Patriarchy will have you thinking it was all men. All of these Black women sacrifice themselves for the community all the time. It is a thankless job because there's always concern and criticism around how women are doing things. With right-wing conservatism at the forefront of conditioning, Kyle contested their performance since anti-intellectualism pervades bigoted spaces. But if you take the time to listen to the arguments of these quote-unquote toxic people, you start hearing personal stories like this one. This is a group of white men, and they're going to say a story about Black boys' education. And strangely enough, listen to who is at the center of this story.
For instance, I went to a training session which was called How to Teach Black Boys.
And what was the out of interest? What did they teach you? How do you teach Black boys rather than just boys in general?
It's essentially because these boys are Black, you have to have lower expectations for them. That was the gist of it. You can't expect them to sit down. You can't expect them to, for a long period of time, you can't expect them to sit down and do what was called a long write. You can't expect them just to sit down and read. They're more active. This is a Black woman who delivered the seminar. And I remember at one point, as I felt my urine gently bubbling with rage, I put my hand at the end and I went, she went, any questions? And I went, yeah. I've got a mate who teaches at Eton. There's Black boys who go to Eton. Do you reckon they're getting taught this at Eton? She was like, no, but she came up with something. But it's just the point. It's what Anura Bevan said. It's the bigotry of low expectations.
Yeah, I mean, it's racism, isn't it?
So you're looking for an escape route, like an existential trap door, that it's not possible for us to commit any crime that the white man commits because the white man oppresses us. The white man does. Patriarchy shows up with boys too.
UNC Chapel Hill professor Dr. Sonia Richardson speaks of being informed about the manosphere from her 22-year-old son. He was like, everybody knows about the manosphere. She replied, well, I don't know about it. Well, it's your generation that is helping to inform how the younger generation shows up, how Black men show up, she told Ebony. As a Gen X woman, Richardson believes that her generation of Black men became candid in their newfound liberation by turning parasocial and hierarchical, which stems from internalized racism and self-hatred that Richardson says Black women are not confining them to.
Yes, it's going to be harder if you have certain disadvantages, if you're a person of color, if you're disabled, etc., of course. But as a man, there are so many things in place to make sure that you succeed above women. So if you still choose to not succeed, if you still can't make the system work for you, I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad. Like, I feel like it's a skill issue. It's a skill fucking issue, and you should be embarrassed. You should be fully embarrassed. You should be ashamed if you are suffering as a man, because the world is literally built for you to thrive. It's built for you to thrive.
Because these boys are Black, you have to have lower expectations for them. That was the gist of it. You can't expect them to sit down. You can't expect them to, for a long period of time, you can't expect them to sit down and do what was called a long write. You can't expect them just to sit down and read. They're more active. This is a black woman telling. This is a black woman telling. This is a black woman telling. Who delivered the seminar.
Unlike Dr. Richardson, the Ebony article continues, the self-proclaimed fairy godbrother, Anwar White, is no stranger to the manosphere. You may be familiar with this name. Anwar White, we've heard from him before.
Girl, black men are the hardest group of men to date. Black men that marry black women get a divorce rate that's at 100% higher than the average. Black men that marry white women are at a 200% divorce rate increase.
Hey, I'm over here. My name's Anwar. I'm a dating coach for black women, and so often I hear about black women who are just focused on dating black men. So I wanted to break it down to let you know how difficult you are making your love life be just by focusing on black men. 1 out of every 7 guys is ready for a relationship. So if you're focusing on just black guys, bare minimum, it's 7 times harder. If you are focused on the talented 10th, you are making it 35 times harder to get your guy.
White predicted these indoctrinated macho agendas pushed to black men. Now White confesses that the quasi-recession, AI taking jobs, and geopolitical issues contribute to the pain of black men who turn to the manosphere. Since black women are soaring when it comes to education and socioeconomic status, the safety net of quote-unquote providing within dating is a thin line close to being disposable. Despite this, women are susceptible to tactics that oppress them, and he encourages them to discuss politics and gender roles and norms to check if the partnership aligns.
Stop crying. You acting like a little baby. You acting like a little girl. Be a man. Grow up. Remember the first time somebody said that to you? That's patriarchy. Enacted on you when you were a little boy.
White believes this harmful conditioning teaches black men that softness gets exploited, despite closeness being a primal need in a relationship. To White, being hypervigilant is a trauma response, not strength.
Stop crying. You acting like a little baby. You acting like a little girl. Be a man. Grow up. Remember the first time somebody said that to you? That's patriarchy. Enacted on you when you were a little boy. Black men enjoy patriarchy. Oppressed people love a little moment of power. Oppressed people are constantly looking for someone else that they can harm because their egos desire retribution. So if I can't fight my oppressor, I'm going to fight my lesser.
At the time, the stats were 1 out of 4 women will be abused in their lifetime, or stalked, or sexually violated. And now the stats are 1 out of 2. That means all of us know somebody.
If one were to design a scapegoat for society from scratch, it would be very difficult to find a better scapegoat than heterosexual, straight, free-thinking black men. First of all, there are only 20 million of us to begin with a couple of controls. That number could get down to 6, 7, 8 million very quickly. That's not enough black men to affect any major political agenda. It's not enough black men to really terrorize a society, because we'd have to be very spread out in a country as large as America. And at the same time, you could point at those men and say they're everything that's wrong with America. And if you wanted to get into the good graces of everyone that is scapegoating that small group of men, you would say that those group of men fit some kind of agenda that would help you get what you want. At times, those men would identify with the 130, 40, 50 some odd million white men who are the quote unquote patriarchal men that rule America. And at the same time, when it's convenient, you could say us when you want to talk about black people and say that black people are oppressed. And because you're a black and you're not a man that's heterosexual, you're doubly, triply, quadruply oppressed. And so at no point is there a time where you say, should I listen to the grievances of heterosexual straight black men? The answer to that is never. And even when those men choose to leave, still ridiculed.
Like the passport bros that's like leftover men. You know what I'm saying? They like, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause the real players done got all. They don't pick from the good women here, and then they just like
passport bros are leftover men.
Yeah,
because all the players
done picked from the good women, and you know what I'm saying, and they wanna just leave and go somewhere else to a whole nother continent and get women.
That's crazy to have to go to another continent to find love.
I'm saying,
man, that's
when it's
crazy.
millions of people here.
Yeah.
What the World Cup has taught me is that out of the billions of people on this world, there's no way my soulmate is from the United States.
You heard these three men try to make sense of a lecture in which a black female educator is essentially telling a crowd of people that they should have lower expectations in schools for black boys, and they write it off as racism, which it's not really racism because you have two groups of people, both of them being of the same race, so it has to be something. And they can't really wrap their head around it because they are not privy to the dynamics of the black community, where you have intersectionality and you move the goalpost over and over and over to where sometimes black men are elbow in elbow with white men, and that we've as black men enjoyed some kind of wonderland in America the last 400 years that women essentially did not get to enjoy. And then when it's time for black people to come together, it's black people together. We need to put our arms together because we're all one in one. And the outcome of that, of course, is that you just have this perfect scapegoat. You can say that they don't raise their kids. You can say that they are not men. You can say that there are not enough of them. You can say that they are going to other places because they're not real men. They can't handle real pressure. And even when those men do leave, you call them leftover men. Men who are working regular jobs, paying taxes, not having children with lots of different women. When those men go other places, you call them names. And so how can you win in that situation? And the answer is more and more black men, or should I say black, straight, free-thinking men are realizing that it's a rigged game. No matter what you do, no matter how you present yourself, there's going to be something wrong with it. And if you try to play a game that's rigged, there's only going to be one outcome. You're going to lose, and you're going to get taken advantage of. As more and more men understand that, those leftover men, quote unquote, are just going to leave. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you next video. Take care, guys.